When we think of history's most influential thinkers, it's common to think of towering figures like Albert Einstein, Friedrich Nietzsche, and Sigmund Freud, giants who changed how we understand science, philosophy, and psychology. But what if I told you that all three, along with countless others, were deeply influenced by an earlier philosopher, often overlooked in popular discourse? Meet Arthur Schopenhauer, known as the philosopher of pessimism, whose stark but powerful ideas about life, suffering, and desire still resonate in our modern world. Today, we're going to unpack Schopenhauer's life, his key philosophies, and how they can offer us a realistic, if sobering path to navigating the challenges of life in our own time. From wealth to wisdom, Schopenhauer's early life. Arthur Schopenhauer was born in 1788 in Gdansk, Poland, into a well-to-do merchant family. His father was a wealthy businessman, and Schopenhauer seemed predestined for a successful life in commerce. But fate had other plans. When he was just 5 years old, his family moved to Hamburg, Germany, opening his young eyes to a wider world. Schopenhauer's early life was marked by travel and exposure to different cultures, which gave him a unique vantage point on human suffering. While touring Europe with his family, he witnessed extreme poverty and social inequality, sights that deeply affected him. These experiences planted the seeds for his lifelong quest to understand the root of human suffering and to ask the big questions. Why do people struggle? What drives the conflicts and desires that shape human life? Little did he know, this journey would lead him down a path few had walked before him, a path that would redefine Western philosophy. The search for knowledge, Schopenhauer's education. In 1809, Schopenhauer enrolled at the University of Göttingen to study medicine. But it wasn't long before philosophy took hold of his mind, consuming him completely by his third semester. Driven by a profound hunger to understand life's mysteries, he transferred to the prestigious University of Berlin, hoping to find teachers who could illuminate his questions about existence. However, Schopenhauer quickly grew disillusioned. He found the lectures overly complex, obscure, and far removed from the real concerns that mattered to him. Academic philosophy seemed to evade the deeper truths he was seeking. So, he made a bold decision. He left academia behind to pursue his studies independently. Schopenhauer began to write and develop his philosophy on his own terms, driven by the conviction that he could explain the forces that shaped the human experience and human suffering far better than his professors ever could. The philosopher of pessimism, Schopenhauer's core ideas. Schopenhauer's breakthrough came in the form of two seminal works that would later define his legacy. In 1813, he published his dissertation on the fourfold root of the principle of sufficient reason, which explored the nature of causality and human perception. But his 1819 work, The World as Will and Representation, was his true masterpiece. This book laid out his full philosophical system, and it would eventually reshape Western thought. At the heart of Schopenhauer's philosophy is a single concept, the will. Building on Kant's idea that we perceive reality through our minds, Schopenhauer argued that beyond our conscious experience lies a single, metaphysical force, the will. To him, the will was not a rational, benevolent force but a relentless, insatiable drive. This will, he claimed, is the root of all human suffering. It pushes us to constantly strive for things we can never permanently achieve: wealth, status, love, and happiness. Schopenhauer believed that all of these pursuits were doomed to end in dissatisfaction because the will could never be truly fulfilled. The will and the cycle of suffering. Schopenhauer's vision of the will was revolutionary because it challenged the traditional Western view of existence as a positive, rational order. He saw life as a ceaseless cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. We may satisfy our immediate needs, but the will quickly introduces new desires, creating an endless cycle of striving and suffering. This idea was a synthesis of Western thought and Eastern philosophy. Schopenhauer was one of the first Western thinkers to study Eastern traditions deeply, and he found in them an affirmation of his insights, that life is inherently suffering, driven by a relentless force that can never be quenched. According to Schopenhauer, the best we can hope for is a temporary absence of pain. Joy and contentment are fleeting, but suffering always lurks nearby. In this sense, he argued, life is not about seeking endless pleasure but learning to accept and even embrace suffering as an unavoidable part of our existence. Finding liberation from the will. Given his pessimistic view, one might wonder, did Schopenhauer see any way to escape the grip of the will? Indeed, he believed there were two ways to transcend our endless desires and find a semblance of peace: art and philosophy. Schopenhauer believed that art and philosophy could offer us moments of relief by allowing us to step outside of ourselves. When we engage deeply with art, he argued, we enter a state of will-less contemplation. This experience provides a momentary escape from our desires, allowing us to appreciate beauty and insight without the demands of the will. Philosophy, too, can provide clarity and understanding that soothe our restless spirits. Asceticism. Schopenhauer saw asceticism as a more lasting solution. By denying ourselves material comforts and practicing self-discipline, we can weaken the hold of the will. Practices like fasting, meditation, and minimalism teach us to live with less, reducing the constant hunger for more. For Schopenhauer, living a simpler, more restrained life was the surest path to liberation from suffering. Schopenhauer's rediscovery and enduring influence. Despite his powerful insights, Schopenhauer's ideas went largely unnoticed for years. He was virtually unknown until his 50s, when he published a book of essays in 1851. Only then did he begin to gain recognition for his uncompromising commitment to the truth. Schopenhauer's conviction inspired some of the greatest minds of the 19th and 20th centuries. Nietzsche, Freud, Tolstoy, Proust, and Wittgenstein all engaged deeply with his work, and his ideas became a cornerstone for modern psychology, existentialism, and even Eastern-influenced spiritual practices. Schopenhauer's refusal to compromise with academic norms, his bravery in tackling the darker aspects of existence, and his timeless understanding of the human condition set him apart. He remains a figure of profound influence, and his legacy continues to challenge and inspire new generations. Schopenhauer's teachings for a life well lived. In today's world, we are constantly encouraged to seek happiness, wealth, and self-fulfillment. Schopenhauer's teachings, however, offer a different kind of wisdom. They invite us to confront the inevitability of suffering and to find meaning not by avoiding pain but by understanding and accepting it. Here are his core lessons for modern life. Accept the reality of suffering. Schopenhauer taught that suffering is an inherent part of life. Accepting this truth can free us from the unrealistic pursuit of endless happiness and provide a sense of peace. Seek clarity through art and philosophy. Art and philosophy offer moments of relief from the will. Engaging deeply with beauty and thought allows us to escape our egos and experience the world without constant desire. Practice asceticism. Living with less, fasting, or meditating can break the grip of the will. By reducing our attachments, we can cultivate an inner strength that is not dependent on satisfying desires. Question society's values. Schopenhauer urged us to question the status quo. Instead of blindly pursuing wealth or social approval, he argued for a life grounded in compassion, self-restraint, and introspection. Schopenhauer's enduring legacy. In the end, Schopenhauer's message is as simple as it is profound. Life is suffering. Only by facing this truth head-on can we begin to live a life of purpose and resilience. By learning to accept our limitations, practicing self-discipline, and finding solace in art and philosophy, we can, in Schopenhauer's words, transcend the forces that bind us. If you found Schopenhauer's journey as fascinating as we did, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We'll continue to explore more groundbreaking thinkers who dared to confront life's hardest truths. Until next time.